There we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special, not an OP since there's three of us, but special edition of Off the Post. As you can see, I'm not DJ Redcap.
What?
Ha ha ha! Funny. Yeah, I know we look so much alike. Um, Today we are going to be discussing some shall we say, revelations that came out concerning the ownership group of FC Kansas City and some really nasty emails that were apparently sent out by said ownership group. So let's check in with the panel. Jen, what were your initial thoughts when you saw this news come out?
I don't think initially I thought anything. Um, and that's a really scary place to be. Like, I don't get angry. I really don't. Like, I have the patience of a saint. Like, I'm a hardcore, like, calm, cool, things can just roll off of me. So when I get into that place of, like, not thinking anything and, like, not using my head, it's not great. And this was just pure raw emotion. Like this is literally like someone taking pictures of like friends and doing that to friends, because I know a lot of us know people on teams and are friends with a lot of the players, and this was way too close to home. This was legit like just a mixture of anger and disgust and betrayal and just sadness. Like it was just it struck a chord with me, and it's people are probably watching this right now and they're like, oh my god, what people were talking about Kansas City and it's a Rain fan, a Spirit fan, and a Flash fan, like what? But I think that really puts into perspective like how hard this hit our community. The fact that it is a Rain fan, a Flash fan, and a Spirit fan sitting here talking about what happened in Kansas City, because it shook me to the core, and I think it probably did that with all of us.
Karen, what do you have to say on this particular issue? What did you think when you first heard about it?
Well, as most people know, my nickname is Kraken for a reason. When things happen, I get emotional and I get loud and I get a little bit, I don't know, I tend to diss a lot of people because I get really mad about a lot of possibly more trivial things than this. But when I read this article, the flames and like, oh, I just got so mad that I almost threw my phone across the room. And like this news broke right when I woke up. In our OTP chat, I was reading about it, and I was just so disgusted that I thought maybe like I hadn't actually woken up yet, and maybe it was some like sick, gross nightmare. And then I actually read the article, and I realized that it was real. That this was a thing that had actually happened. And it made me just feel like empty inside to think that this is something that still happens in 2016. It's not okay in any era. Whether you go back to like the beginning of women's soccer, it would not be okay. But now to hear that there are owners doing this in our league, in the NWSL, with like our players that we care about so much, that we watch every single week, put their hearts and souls and bodies into these games and get paid dismal amounts of money for, and then you hear on top of all of that that the owners of this team have been exchanging pictures that are incredibly disrespectful and creepy and gross. It's just like 1,000 nasty, disgusting, horrible, awful things on top of one another. And I hope that this owner, I think Kansas City people call him Bud, Brian Budzinski, I hope that he really takes it to these guys, because this is the most disgusting thing that I've heard ever. And I think that they're both doing it, that they're both, like, totally fine doing this. And to think that they are also threatening slander and all of this other crap, and saying that he fabricated the emails, like, that's a bunch of bullshit, and we all know it. So, um, they just need to, I think, be gone. Get out of our league and get away from these players and get away from pretty much any women's team, any men's team. Just get out of sports and go sit in your little rich boy houses and think about what you've done, because this is not okay, and we're not going to stand for this in our league.
Okay, in case you haven't, any of you haven't actually read the article, we did tweet out the link by Excel Sports, saying that the one of the main owners of FC Kansas City, Brian Basinski, has taken the other three main owners, the Lycans, to court to try to get back, suing them for money, trying to maybe get back control of the Missouri Comets, which is owned by the same ownership group that owns FC Kansas City. And part of it was that there were some rather disgusting emails sent by the three Lycans that we're not going to repeat the content because it's really not safe for work, or things that nobody should have to hear if they're sensitive to that sort of thing. But we did retweet out the link. We'll go ahead and tweet it out again if you want to go read and see what exactly was said, just for getting a context of just how horrible this is. As for me, when I read this, I was exactly like you two. I was furious. I was angry. It was so gross, I wanted to take a shower. That's how disgusting it was. I mean, like you said, Karen, these players do not get paid a lot of money. They're basically playing for the love of the game. And the fact that it's the ownership group, people that are supposed to protect them, tweeting out this, emailing this stuff, saying these horrible things that should not be said to any person, let alone somebody under your employ, is horrible. So, I mean, I'm so mad I can hardly talk straight. That's just how upset this made me. I mean, we have been through some really bad ownerships with some other former teams. Probably the most famous example is Dan Borislaw, some of his outrageous behavior. I think this might maybe even be worse than some of the things he did. And he did some really, really bad things. I mean, there's articles all about that around on the line if you want to read that. But yeah, it's just some really horrible stuff. Personally, I hope that these jokers get tossed out by Brian Basinski, or maybe just sell the whole thing. Maybe Sporting Kansas City can use this as leverage and buy FC Kansas City. I mean, I railed about having this all MLS only thing, that that it shouldn't be just MLS, that other independent groups can have their own teams and be successful. But if this is what it takes to get these guys gone, then in this case I'm all for it. Get rid of them, bring in some guys that actually know what they're doing, and maybe this whole sorry affair can go in the back burner, and we can go back to normal. I mean, because there are some owners in the league that have gotten heat for certain things. Probably the biggest example is Merritt Paulson in Portland for tweeting outrageous things. But he wouldn't. I would be shocked if something ever came out of him doing anything like this. He might be a jerk online and on social media, but he protects his players. He does not treat them as sexual objects to be oogled or anything like that. So, yeah. Jen, do you think? Would you like to see Sporting Kansas City or some other ownership group step in and take control?
Absolutely. I mean, I think Bud, from my understanding, has been a great owner. So I would love to see him still involved with the team in some way, even if he can't, afford to own the team solely. I think Sporting Kansas City has supported FC Kansas City in a way, even if it's just by their players going to the games or what have you. So I would love to see Sporting Kansas City jump in this case, and like I said, Bud still be involved with the team somehow. But I think at this point, something needs to happen, and if that means an MLS team going in and helping FC Kansas City until maybe they can find another ownership group that works a little bit better or something, then that's what needs to happen. And, Sporting KC is a great organization, so I don't see any reason why they couldn't work out some kind of arrangement there. Hopefully, they do step in and something happens and we can get these guys out of there, because they should not be involved in anything, especially not even horse racing. So, I mean, they're just not great people. I don't liken them very much, so they should, yeah.
Karen, do you think,
Yes.
same question to you.
I didn't hear the question because I got booted for a second.
Okay, yeah, do you think Sporting Kansas City or a different ownership group should step in and try to buy them out?
I think so. I think that would be a really smart idea. I mean, I wouldn't say across the board in NWSL we should just have MLS teams buying all of the NWSL teams, because some of these teams have proven that they can pull in good numbers and have good teams even without MLS ownership. But I think when you have a situation that's as scandalous and disgusting as this situation, I think you just need an overhaul. If this is the kind of behavior that you're getting from owners of a team, you need an overhaul. It seems like the staff, the coaches, the players should have owners that they can trust, should have owners that they don't have to worry about what's being emailed behind their backs. I mean, just how disgusted I am by this is probably like a tiny, tiny, tiny little fraction of the disgust that the players are feeling right now. I mean, I can't imagine thinking about going to work if my boss, for instance, if I found out that he was emailing one of my other bosses, like, pictures of me in bikinis and stuff. I wouldn't want to go to work. I wouldn't care how much I love my job, like, the idea that your owner, that your boss is acting like this and doing this behind your back is just so sleazy and disgusting. So I think they need an overhaul. They need a complete, get rid of all of their owners and either have Sporting come in or just get new owners completely, because it's gross. And I think that's the only way that you're really going to have players trusting the ownership again.
Yeah, for me, I wouldn't want to see the team completely fold or leave Kansas City under new ownership. It wouldn't be fair to the fans of that team. They've been there since the league opened. They have won 2 championships. So to just boot them out or make them fold because of bad ownership would be unfair, both to the players and to the fans. That being said, I'm totally on the fence. God, I can't even talk tonight. It's late and I'm tired.
You're mad.
I'm angry. I'm mad. I'm tired. I'm angry. All that stuff. It's been a very long and aggravating day. Yeah, I would agree that something needs to happen. Whether it is Sporting Kansas City or another independent market. Somebody's got to step in. I did read that Sporting Kansas City has made somebody either from Sporting Kansas City or one of the other owners to Sporting has made inquiries about purchasing the teams, but these jerk faces have said, we're not selling. So if it has to go through the courts to get it settled, I would like to see these jokers gone in another ownership group, whoever that might be. That's not going to act like total sleazeballs moving. So, any final thoughts before we wrap this up? Go back to you, Karen. Any final thoughts?
Yeah. The thing is, too, is even if Butsinski's accusations, the lawsuit, even if it weren't true, if he actually did fabricate these emails, which is highly, highly impossible, but even if he did, even if these owners haven't done any of these things, even if that article was slanderous, the players, the staff, the coaches, they aren't going to be feeling comfortable with these people anyways, no matter what happens in the court case, right? So even in the highly improbable case that they are not guilty of doing any of these things, I think they need to be tossed out anyways, because this is not going to be a good environment for these players to play in.
Carl, any last thoughts from you?
Yeah. I think probably the thing I've been thinking through this entire ordeal, as angry as I am, that doesn't really compare to how depressed isn't even the right word. I'm feeling something, and it's late, and I've worked all day, and I don't know what this emotion is. But that being said, fans of Kansas City, coaches of Kansas City, staff of Kansas City, players of Kansas City, if any of you are watching this, know that you're supported. Know that 100% across the league, you are supported. You know, it doesn't matter. Again, we've got a Seattle fan, we've got a Flash fan, and we've got a Spirit fan on here. The rest of us in the group chat, you know, we've got a Houston fan in there, we've got, you name it, you are 100% supported. So don't think for a moment that, you know, because you've been supporting this team, because you love this team, you're backing the owners and what they may or may not have done or what they stand for or any of their ideas or what's going on here, because it's a totally separate idea. You know, your heart is with those players. Your heart is with those ideas that Kansas City is the only two-star team in the league. You guys are a wonderful team. I was just in Kansas City. I can't speak enough about how amazing the atmosphere is, about how amazing the staff, the players, you know, Vladko, the entire Blue Crew, everybody filling the stands even outside of the Blue Crew. You are all amazing, and we are behind you 110% no matter what. So even through this whole thing, if you feel, you know, for a minute that you're dealing with this alone, you know, if you, even families of players, if you happen to be watching this, I don't know who's going to watch this show, but if you feel like you can't bear this burden by yourself, trust me, you are not. Because every single one of us who follows this league, even remotely, is behind you. So just stay strong, and this'll work itself out. Because, you know, I was talking to these guys earlier, and if the courts don't do something, they're basically saying that the lives of these players are worth less than the amount of money that the Lakers are putting into the league. And there's nobody on this planet who's going to agree with that except maybe the Lakers. So just know we're behind you. We will always be behind you. We always have been. You know, we talk a bunch of trash when our teams are playing each other, but at the end of the day, we're all the same league. And right now, I think we're all Kansas City fans. So,
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, I am
Let's give her a massive round of applause.
I'm a Reign fan. I mean, Kansas City kicked our butts 2 years in a row in the final. And that did not make me feel good. But right now, I'm a Kansas City fan, and I am 1,000% behind that team and the players and their fans as well. Boom.
Yeah, you both said it far better than I ever could, that's for sure. So that's pretty much going to do it for this special edition of OTP. It wasn't planned, but we feel with this news coming out, we just had to say something to get it out there. So I hope you found this informative. And like Jen said, all Kansas City fans, players, staff, coaches, you're not alone. We got your back. We are behind you 150 billion%. I'm trying to top Karen on the percentages. So that's going to do it for us. Thank you for tuning in. Check us on our next show. Would it be Sunday?
Sunday.
On Sunday, where we rehash the USA-Sweden disaster. So tune in then, and we will catch you on the flip side. Everybody wave.